Take it away.
Well, we're moving into Lijiang Tower. It's going to be the control center stage, and important to note here is that Nanohana is not in play. XL2 Academy still very much looking to exercise the full depth of their roster, and that means that Team Canada's very own Mangachu, announced today, will be playing here to start things off.
Yeah, and so it looks like we will have, of course, Tizzy and Wuya also starting for XL2 on the NRG squad. Of course, the newest addition, Rascal, will be coming on in. We'll see if he sticks with this May. I'm totally not against it, actually. This is actually a good strat here where he could just use the wall right there, and Swan can go in for the charge if they do get the split off. There it is, but they're not able to capitalize quite yet as Tizzy's able to back out.
Tizzy's just like, yep, I'm going to go to the other side here. Is it going to quite fall foul of that early initiation? And now the jig is up, right? You know that the May is in play. XL2 can play around it. They don't have to put themselves in a position where the ice wall can get that high amount of value. But in the middle, it's Tizzy gonna fall. Both teams down one early on, and Mangachu, who thought he'd be safe in the skies here, taken on down as NRG is starting to slowly win this war of attrition. Stratus proving to be good once again on that projectile DPS.
Yeah, Mangachu thought he just had the clear skies there with that far firing from above, but you have to remember, a Zenyatta with the Discord Orb can do a lot of damage now, so NRG already accruing 15% here. Off of the back of that, Phosix was able to build up, of course, that Valkyrie for this fight, but let's take a look. XL2, they're struggling right now. Nene on this Hanzo only at 50% towards his Dragon Strike. With the Storm Arrows, he'll get up to 60, but he's just not there yet.
Meanwhile, you have Mangachu flanking on the outside corner right now. Barrage loaded up. Goliath already down. 2 members of the team out of it, and I think what Mangachu's going to do here is he's not going to reset the rest of his team. He's going to hang out over here and wait, and this gives him the option to potentially flank in from the outskirts, but it's a partial reset here for XL2.
Now, he will be able to combo with the Graviton Surge coming online for Wuya now, and Nene is also close to that Dragon Strike finally. Mangachu has been spotted out. Graviton comes in. There's the Dragon, but it was NRG with the Space Dragon first. I was able to clean up too, and with the help of Smex, that's half the team gone. XL2 are going to have to reset, and they're slowly running out of time. As NRG already at 62%.
Mangachu's off on an excellent adventure right now. He is deep behind enemy lines, and I'm not sure anyone's going to rescue him.
We'll see. I mean, they don't really have the kind of mobility to try and really deal with that. Take a look at how far ahead NRG are playing. They're basically at the spawn.
And that's an early pickoff there where it's been very tough for XL2 to get momentum. Now you see NRG going in even more aggressively. The Dragon Strike comes on in, but NRG isn't really phased. It was a rough situation for it in the beginning, but they do lose 2 towards the very end. Now it's going back the other way. They definitely went a little bit too far aggro. Mangachu finally returns from the back line. And this could be XL2's first take, and will be. NRG, though, opening up with a 94% opening, and it's pretty easy for them. Just one more fight to retake this round.
Yeah, they just need to win one more fight, and they have a lot of time to do so. That means they can build up their bank. So Rascal has now swapped off from that May onto the McCree. He's going to be a little bit of a better answer to Mangachu. Well, he can answer Mangachu if Mangachu's in the fight, but he is with the team right now as they go ahead and take the high ground, pushing on in. Valkyrie's going to get popped from both sides, and Swanna dies. Mangachu comes in over the top with that barrage.
5-on-5, opening this up, still plenty of room for both sides. It's NRG looking to retake right now. Mangachu gets brought back up though, so you have the 6-on-5 setup for XL2. Both Mercies safely getting a res off, and that's going to reset, but Swan immediately abused in the middle, unable to get support from his team as he moved on forward. Now you see Nene just working the outskirts here, and the Hanzo laying in the damage. NRG hasn't decided to fully back up, but it's Rascal picks up 2! And even though the Graviton comes in from XL2 right now, this is still something that NRG can take as they invest in Graviton their own. Here comes their Dragon, and NRG coming right back into this fight.
A little bit mismanaged there. The Dragon Strike and Graviton combo was not used properly as the Dragon was veered a little bit to the left, but because of Rascal's heroics before that, and also he was the one that actually baited out the Graviton along Dragon Strike from XL2 Academy, they're able to go ahead and win out this team fight. Wuya tries his best to get onto the point, but he will get taken out. Once again, it's Rascal on that McCree. Adam brings Wuya back into this, but Swan has to be careful, once again caught out, way too aggressive.
XL2 working their way back onto the point. Right now they're just fighting the retake. It's NRG in control. It's back and forth between both teams. See Goliath on the end, getting pressured by Smex. Smex, though, has to get pushed back a little bit more. Rascal brought back in the fight, and Stratus is again landing arrow after arrow on the outskirts right now, slowly picking XL2 apart. It's going to be NRG Esports getting the first round.
I mean, it wasn't even on the outskirts. Stratus just lunges straight at the Mercy, making sure she was zoned off from the point, zoned off from her Reinhardt, was able to take her out. I mean, we're seeing both teams actually doing a really good job of focusing targets when their Mercies are either vulnerable or unable to heal because she's in the middle of resurrection. So that's why we got to see Swan going down quite often from XL2. It was whenever their Mercy would go in for the res, well, Swan got focused down because he's not receiving the pocket healing from the Mercy. By the way, Swan, name change, Butcher, for those of you who haven't been keeping up in the last few weeks before the lead up to the season.
You know, we have all these name changes going on here. We have Butcher going the Swan. We have Flower going the Nanohana. I don't understand the reasoning for this. I thought Butcher was a fantastic name, but it is what it is. NRG, of course, we're going to see a swap up here, moving to the Brigitte composition, and what they're going to look for here is to simply box out space here in the point, and they immediately get onto the point. 15 seconds till it opens.
Yeah, it's Goats Comp for NRG Esports. They got the Moira along with the Lucio and that Brigitte. And of course, the heavy tank line of the Rein, Zarya, and the Diva. Well, XL2 gonna stick with a regular composition, I guess, but Nene has swapped off. He's going over to the Junkrat to try and deal with these tanky bodies.
Well, the key thing here is that between the Pharah and the Junkrat, they have a lot of tools to bust down shields. The problem here is just getting a good angle to lay this in. NRG, by virtue of this being a tanky, brawly composition, they have first control, and XL2 is already fighting from behind. Now, they take it more into the courtyard. Mangachu laying in rockets from above, getting in through the window, but pressured enough that he's been unable to lay in as much so. But now it's starting to break down a little bit. NRG had to bend back, but they take the moment, they heal back up with the Brigitte, and now they're going to use the Coalescence to just push XL2 back. All the while, they have control of the point. Mangachu, barrage towards the very end, only picks up Smex, gets the mech right after though, and this actually could be enough for XL2 despite the slow start.
Yeah, I mean, even though they had lost Tizzy in the early onset of this fight, it was because he was going after the low targets, and then from there, it was just making sure that the damage stuck. And so we had the support split up as some were trying to heal back up their tanks, others were trying to fight onto the point. It was XL2, even fighting from behind, that were able to really take advantage of that now. So we'll see NRG. They are going to go ahead and make the swap-offs as Stratus goes over to the Pharah himself, and Rascal will go back to the McCree, which did a lot of work when they were on Command Center.
Meanwhile, though, they're going to have to deal with the Tire. Nene opening up with a blast here. The Tire moving on the outskirts. And now, just looking for a sneaky way in. Doesn't need to get too much, just looking for one. Down to 25 HP. Works his way around and taken down. Rascal was ready. That Tire punctured in the moment. And now you're going to see NRG start making their way over to the point. Nothing too crazy. The Pharah battle in the skies. The Stratus gets higher ground positioning over Mangachu. Meanwhile, the rest of NRG just going to go directly onto the point.
Now, they are there. They have to be careful, though. The Mercy's playing a little bit aggressive. That's why Mangachu is trying to jump up onto her right now. Transcendence comes out from Goliath as XL2 are going to go ahead and counter-engage, but Mangachu takes a rocket in the sky with a Rascal follow-up damage there. Self-destruct gets rid of Stratus, so it's Pharah for Pharah, but Phosix is able to bring both Pharahs back into this.
XL2 still in firm control of the point, 60%, fighting back well enough. Sure, NRG got a few early picks there, but Mangachu gonna drop the barrage just for one. It's a 1-for-1 here. And Stratus now a little bit more room to work with. Rascal getting bopped around in Deadeye, and he actually got knocked in and got Goliath as a result. However, it's still in the mode of trade back and forth, and even as NRG is starting to get the better of this here, look at how much XL2 has gotten on the point as they delay. Yes, this is probably gonna go the way of NRG, but 84% right now for XL2.
And they have great tools to actually try to open this back up. Again, another stagger coming out from Mangachu. He gets on the point one more time, gives him a few extra percentage, maybe 3 or 4 there. But they're gonna have the Rip Tire here. Now, Rascal was able to clear it last time, but there are gonna be a lot more angles that he actually has to check this from. He can come in from the left, from the right, inner side, there by the market side. So Rascal, he's gonna have to take a step back and make sure that is clear. His point of view is very clear. As Rob starts it off, Goliath has already gone down, so XL2 might have to back out. Instead, they go in with the Tire.
Well, they're not able to confirm the kill. Adam gets the resurrection back up. Nene's Tire, though, not gonna get what it's looking for. So both teams in the 6v6 situation. Stratus, creeping around the outskirts, has the barrage up and ready, and we'll see what he's doing here. Meanwhile, Rascal's pressuring Mangachu, so it's not just Stratus worrying about Mangachu, he has a little bit of support. Gonna back out right now. Doesn't see the greatest opportunity for a barrage. And NRG, they're okay with this. They're fighting XL2 back. They're buying time all the while. And with Tizzy going down, XL2 really can't easily engage.
Self-destruct is used by Uyal just to get back into his mech. Now Smex, though, finds his onto Adam. Now things are going in favor of NRG Esports. Transcendence has come out, but NRG, Rob was able to hold on to his long
double barrage by
generally.
Stratus finishes it off with that at the very end, and NRG actually going to take this from XL2, where they might be the evil empire in the eyes of many Contenders teams, but NRG just easily taking this.
We talked about this going in, right? Both teams have kind of acquired these new parts, like let's see what they do. And interesting enough to me, we saw Nanohana not even in that one for XL2. We asked what was Rascal going to be playing. He has a wide range of heroes. We saw map number 1. He goes May, realizes they need more answers to the Pharah, more just pure hit scan, goes ahead, gets that McCree, right? Second game, Diva, and then back to McCree when things aren't going well. So I think we can kind of paint this early picture of what his game plan is going to be on this team.
Yeah, I mean, he is a real utility player here. He can play all the different roles, and that's why we got to see him on and off take, and of course, 2 separate, I guess it's offensive heroes now. So instantly we got to see the kind of impact that he has. That McCree on Control Center, vastly different from the May. I mean, I enjoy the plan that they had, right? Try and wall off the Reinhardt and then finish him off, but they just were never able to get that damage to stick. They needed the extra little bit more oomph, and him going over to the McCree was that answer.
Well, in particular for McCree, we saw a lot of teams try to run McCree in the last Contender season, but most teams did not have a McCree capable of actually landing shots consistently to make it worthwhile. The general story was, oh, this person's picked McCree. Now what's going to happen is that they're going to miss too many shots, they're going to get dove on, nothing's going to happen. Suddenly they're going to swap to something else. Rascal made the McCree work there, which is somewhat of a rarity, but when you can actually make it work, it gives you way more options in dealing with something like a good Pharah on the other side, like someone like Mangachu.
And that's an interesting point, right? Mangachu obviously famed for his Pharah play. That's what we really know him as, his bread and butter. And we saw the willingness of teams to switch up and deal with his Pharah and actually isolate it very heavily. And Mangachu, aside from one moment with kind of that big barrage, for the rest of these maps, he was a little bit quiet, right? He was kind of getting picked on.
Again, I wouldn't say that he was quiet. I think he was laying out the damage. I was seeing the rockets connect. It's just that they weren't able to ever really convert onto it. Right. When they tried to, Tizzy would go in and he would fall. And he was the only one that was able to really jump in there, right, and try to finish off the low targets. Generally, when we saw these Pharah compositions before, like I had mentioned on Tuesday, it was in conjunction with something like a Tracer or a Genji that could follow up and chase after that damage. But now, when it's left up to your main tank, you leave him really vulnerable as he goes in for that dive.
Yeah, conversely, we do see Stratus, also certainly somebody we associate with Pharah, having a really great second map there and really making a mark with the double barrage, just making sure he was converting on those kills. He's not just pumping out the damage, he's actually getting those kills, which is super important when you're playing Pharah.
Yeah, and I mean, Stratus, he was one of the most consistent projectile DPS players of Season 1. I would use definitely a high point of NRG, even as they had instability in places like hitscan DPS, especially after the departure of Damon. And it's more the same, right? Where Stratus is probably one of the most promising up-and-coming players for that role in Contenders, and it's an asset to NRG, especially now that he seems to have this really good tag team partner in Rascal.
All right, well, we're going to be heading to King's Row next, so obviously loser of the previous map gets to pick. Want to go over to King's Row for XL2. What kind of differences, or what kind of changes, rather, adaptations are we expecting from XL2?
I don't think much is actually going to change here. I think Mangachu is going to stick around because, well, Hanzo is very much in play this season, in particular in this patch. And so I think we're going to see a lot more of that Zarya-Hanzo combination once again, and I think that's what the game plan is moving forward.
More than anything else, I think we're going to see Nanohana come back into play. Not Flower, Nanohana, because the rebrand is important here. I was actually surprised not to see him in map 1, but I mean, it makes sense if you think about how teams are approaching Contenders, right? Where you want to give players play time so you can get as many possible to OWL. However, I think in this case, this is where they go, okay, let's bring out Nanohana, who's been playing out of his mind, supposedly. Let's see it happen.
All right, let's see if you're right. Let's see if Nanohana makes his series debut. We're going to hop into King's Row right now.
All right, and we look at the XL2 side, and Mangachu is still in play, so I do wonder all of what's going in. We do have a Blast from the Past as well, where Clone Man, who is the main tank for XL2 all of last season, will be getting subbed in for TZ.
I think one of the ideas is that possibly for XL2, Tizzy might be like their Reinhardt main, while Clone Man will be coming in as their Winston, even though I think he's fairly well-versed on both. I just remember Tizzy more for his Ryan than his Winston more than anything else. Now, XL2 Academy, not quite going for what I was expecting. They couldn't always swap off right now, but currently, Wuyao on the offensive for XL2 is sitting on the Diva, so not going to go for that big wombo combo with a Hanzo quite yet. Mangachu, are you going to do it? It looks like he will. So double sniper composition for XL2 now.
Well, what I'm really expecting to see here is you have the battle between Rascal and Nene, right? And Rascal immediately gets Adam. Adam somehow getting picked off through that early gate. So that's certainly going to delay XL2 a little bit in the beginning.
Can't res that. Can't res that at all. So Rascal, already he's behind these Orisa barriers. So XL2 Academy, they're going to have a difficult time actually trying to deal with this right now. They've only got Clone Man and Wuyao really to try and disrupt anything by jumping up there. Mangachu and Nene are going to have a difficult time trying to shoot past this barrier. Rascal can just sit right here.
Rascal, for now, very well protected in the backline. Still has to be very aware of where Nene is at all times. Also has to be aware of Mangachu. It's a double threat here where you're worrying about snipers on both ends. But Rascal so far is proving very effective on those high damage hit scan heroes. Meanwhile, XL2, you just see them rotating over to the left right now, starting to move in and put NRG back, where NRG hasn't lost anyone yet, but you take a look at how much poke damage they've taken, it's been significant. Same to be said for XL2, where both teams are playing very well at protecting their backline, not losing anyone, but Adam falls, Adam a bit out of position, but XL2 making the most of the sacrifice. It is back and forth, both teams 3-on-3.
Yeah, but for the most part, NRG looking like they might be winning this exchange until Wuyao comes in, taking out Swan with the main tank gone. Stratus has to back away, doesn't have any barriers there, and that's going to allow Nene to come in, connecting with the shots. That 3 in a row. The headshots. XL2 will secure the first tick.
XL2 going to get through pretty quickly at that. I mean, a minute and a half. It's not the worst defense in the world coming from NRG, but good defense at Kings Road, probably be bringing it to the 2-minute mark. So XL2 definitely going to have tools to work with as they move in to the streets phase. In particular, just working on an ult advantage.
Now they are getting contested right now on the high ground. NRG want to make sure that XL2 don't have just the free lanes for both of these snipers to really utilize. As Nene will get that infra sight up and he takes to the skies. Oh, he might actually catch out that Junkrat. Stratus backing away.
XL2, for now, taking their time. We're going to see a tire coming out from the defense here, and Stratus gets one. That's enough for NRG. Now they go, okay, we're actually going to go a little bit far forward. We're going to evict you from the streets end. They don't want to go so far forward that they stagger, but Stratus being measured, and it's a weird dragon coming out from Mangachu. Maybe he thought he saw something there, but the dragon essentially gets nothing, and NRG doesn't have to worry about it now for the next team fight.
All right, so they throw in the self-destruct, and because Rob couldn't actually escape it, he uses his Transcendence, and so they instantly go aggressive. But Clone Man is able to take out Stratus, Primal Rage into the back line with the help of Nene taking out Rascal. Now it's a man advantage for XL2. And so slowly but surely, after throwing ultimate after ultimate into this, kind of went up this fight. Rob has to be careful as he gets chased down in the back alleys. Might have made it over to the Mega Health Pack, and so he turns that tide over as Clone Man just chases too far.
And this has been a back and forth where both teams have probably over-engaged a little bit. NRG, though, hasn't given much of a payload progress. They're going to go back over, and Goliath picked off, wasn't able to regroup with the rest of his team, and this is just more and more time that's getting bought right now by NRG as XL2 has found themselves stuck in a rut.
We do have some swaps coming out from XL2. Nene has since given up the Widowmaker and has gone over to the Zarya now. So Mangachu is going to go ahead and throw in this Dragon because he's resetting himself with Nene.
Dragon comes in, and it does enough. It splits up NRG, puts Stratus in a bad spot. Now NRG's gonna try and fight this back. They invest the Transcendence, but Mangachu doesn't care. Picks up 2 right in the moment. And even though Mangachu has fallen, the damage has certainly been done. XL2 gonna bring this right to the apex of point B after this engage.
I mean, who needs a Dragon Strike when, of course, you've got the Storm Arrows of Hanzo there? Basically, you're just equipping like a Wind Force and just going to town on your opponents. It's a mini ultimate, really, every time you have it up. And so now NRG...
NRG drops the worst loot, by the way.
NRG, they make some swap offs. Rascal has now gone over to the Brigitte, so they want a little bit more disruption there to try and really deal with Clone Man. And I think the biggest issue is that because he does have that Earth Shatter, if you get the Shield Bash off at the right time, you can cancel that. We'll see if he gets it.
All right, gonna be opening up here at the self-destruct. Woo, not gonna get it there in the moment. Meanwhile, Cloman drops the hammer, knocks down 2. The D.Va defensive matrix protects from the fire strike, but Cloman says, I'm just going to charge on in. XL2 keeping the pressure up against NRG, and NRG, not even Swan, can really buy too much time off the delay here. This should be the second point going the way of XL2, and they've reclaimed some momentum that they lost in the depths of the second point.
That was such an incredibly smart play coming out from Cloman. So he sees the swap off of Rascal going over to the Brigitte, and he doesn't want to get shield bashed when he goes for that Earth Shatter. So what does he do? Does it behind the payload. So he uses the payload as a shield so that he can't get shield bashed, and he connects with it. They win that team fight out, and now XL2 move on to third with 3 minutes left.
More importantly, too, they have the Graviton up. NRG just made some last-minute swaps, and they're going to immediately drop the Graviton. Cloman says, I'm going to get in there, swings the hammer with the Dragon, and the combined damage. Too much for NRG to deal with. It's a clean sweep for XL2, looking far more formidable now. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, and only one more team fight to go to punch this one in.
And Phozix used his Valkyrie into that, so now, if Stratus tries to go in for this Dragon Blade, it's going to be difficult for him to pocket. So instead, Phozix swaps off, he goes over to the Lucio, but that means their overall healing is going to be so low. Dragon Blade comes in from Stratus, but there's a Transcendence in his way. He will not be able to cut through this, as he has to sheath that sword back on up, but Rascal was able to take out Cloman. Here comes the Dragon Strike once again from Mangachu.
Mangachu, hiding in the back right now, was under pressure, got good healing to get his way out of it. Now get dash on over, trying to get better position, take it down, Rob with the orbs to the back of the head. And NRG finding new life here where they had nothing left to give, giving it right back to XL2. And you see now that XL2 should have to reset, but it's an overextension by NRG suddenly. XL2 punishes, and NRG finds him back in the seat that is uncomfortably hot.
Yeah, Nene on the retreat with his barriers was able to get himself really high up with that energy charge. Earth Shatter comes out from Cloman with the charge, taking out Rascal. Specs trying his best. There's a counter Graviton Surge coming out from NRG Esports, but there's no one there to follow up on the damage whatsoever. It was just a Zenyatta along with Stratus on that Genji. And so with that, XL2 punishes the overextension. Nene cleans up. They're able to finish it off with more than a minute on the clock.
I mean, there's a common theme there for both teams, which is overextending, whether it be on second or certainly there towards third, where both teams would win a fight, and then it's fine to just collect your winnings and back off for another day. I mean, yes, there is something to be said for staggering a team even more, but when it comes at the cost of a key tank or a key player getting picked off as a result, it's never worth it, because then everyone else has to struggle to essentially cover for that mistake, and both teams falling into that trap multiple times over the course of the map.
Yeah, and what's one of the best baits in Overwatch for that trap? Either a Mercy or a high charge Zarya. You want to make sure that she doesn't have that extra energy going into the next fight, so you try to reset it by getting rid of her. Instead, you know, it's a cornered cat at that point, and she's able to strike back, and Nene was able to connect with the damage and really turn the tide of that fight. And so now, as we swap sides, XL2 on the defense, it looks like they're going to go and open up with a double sniper composition, which we do see fairly often here also on the defense.
So, double sniper, of course, nothing that is particularly surprising to see nowadays. People have found out that, hey, Hanzo Widow, it's a good combination. It really came into vogue initially on Junkertown and eventually just kind of spread its way to a whole bunch of other maps in the pool. But for XL2 on the defense, what this means is that Stratus, if he is going to be playing Widow, which is a little weird in and of itself, by the way, where Stratus is normally the projectile guy, and I know Rascal is a very good Genji, but it's an interesting swap to see, but it is going to make things very tough for Stratus because he has to be aware of not just one sniper threat, but two.
Instead, it looks like he might go for that Hanzo, which I do agree with. You know, you do have, of course, the Sonic Arrow along with the Mini Ultimate and the Storm Arrows. We'll see as they leave. It's both Shimada brothers on the deck for NRG Esports here. So that was a great play coming out, XL2. They used that halt along with just the headshots of Nene to take out Rascal, forcing out that first res.
Rascal got a taste of his own medicine there. He did that on the defense to Adam. Now at this point, his Genji immediately takes one to the dome. Nene gonna flex a bit back here, finds Rob immediately. And XL2 looking quite fearsome on this defense so far. NRG back to the drawing board.
Yeah, NRG just looking a little shaken up there, and I think it might just be how much control that XL2 have with this composition. Cloman, of course, when he has that halt up, can stop the momentum of someone like a Winston when he jumps in, and it really does disrupt the dive that comes out from NRG. And, you know, with Nene landing shots, that doesn't help either.
Nene's been playing very good so far. A testament to that is he's going to have recon sight up for this fight. Immediately uses it. Not going to be any mystery as to where these sniper threats are. Meanwhile, NRG, they decided to go direct onto point, but it comes at a cost. Swan blown up immediately. Stratus taking the high ground, and it's a decent contingent of NRG players here that have pushed the Orisa to the side, but Mangachu is just picking them off on the other end of it, gets the back line, and now it's just easy pickings for XL2 because there's just not enough members of NRG up, and they weren't able to get the pickoffs from Stratus that they were looking for.
Yeah, XL2 on their offense, they ran this a little bit differently. So what they did, even though they had the mobile tanks in both the D.Va and the Winston, like NRG do have now, instead of trying to go up to the high ground and contest them there, instead they forced them to come to the low ground. They pressured the point and they made they forced Swan to come down and try to contest. That's what they need to do here instead of trying to force them out, trying to evict them forcibly.
Well, I mean, the other side here too is that when Nene isn't behind the Orisa shield, you can also just win the Widow v Widow battle. But Nene, under pressure, again, he's going to go back, has the recon sight up, so he does have an edge in just knowing what to look for. Rascal, though, something to watch here. The Dragon Strike out for the defense, doesn't get much. Rascal dives on in, 85 HP. Hasn't pulled out the blade here just yet. He's holding on to it, but Stratus actually doing a good amount of work on the indoors while NRG is debating what do we want to use. Throws out the blade, forces out the Transcendence, and this is big because now you can go back to Rascal here. Rascal pulls out the blade. What the Dragon has opened up. Rascal finishes off, takes down 2, and might even make it 3 as NRG finally finds a way through.
Yeah, finally they learned their lesson there where they, instead of try to fight on the high ground, they just forced them onto the low ground. Once Clone Man dropped down, you didn't have to keep continuing to play into these really tight angles, narrow tight angles that Mangachu was able to just spam down with that Hanzo. And so, once the threat was really just unroosted from the high ground, they're able to pick them apart one by one and, yeah, baiting out that Transcendence with the Dragon Strike and then pulling out the Dragon Blade just to finish it off. That was great. Now, XL2 looking to make their defense early on.
I think XL2 is more than willing to play a game of chicken right now with NRG, though, positioning fairly aggressively here as Mangachu gonna let loose with the early Dragon Strike. Gets a Winston in his face, but the support is there. It's not something that Swan was gonna be able to go super heavy into, and hey, he goes back in right after, but XL2 is fine in protecting this. Swan barely gonna get away with his life, but while that was going on, the other side, it was Rascal and Stratus, the duo, just obliterating the backline of XL2, starting with the tanks and going from there. So now, NRG is working with a much bigger advantage. Stratus might just let this Dragon fly.
Yeah, so many Dragons coming out for Stratus now. He's gonna hold on to it because his team is just cleaning up the stragglers here. Tizzy going in, wants to get one more, but despite having that Zarya barrier, he's going to play a little bit more conservative now. NRG Esports just holding a great angle here, making sure no one's able to push up. Clone Man, he's been swapped off onto that Reinhardt, only able to build up 55% towards that Shatter. He's got to be careful moving through this because Stratus is just waiting. Dragon Strike comes out from both sides, but there's a Graviton keeping the tanks in tow there. They're going to be able to clean up 3 with Rascal's barrage, and with that, NRG move on to 3rd.
NRG, a well-executed team fight there, and look, that's what happens when you have a grab the support 1 Dragon, you don't have it on the other side, and Smex just laying in the long-range damage. NRG, plenty of time to work with here.
They really do need to grow up, do XL2 now if they want to mount this defense. So Ruyel swapped off onto the Zarya himself, and so that kind of resets them. They're almost on the same timers for that Graviton along with Dragon Strike. So XL2 don't have to worry about that in the present, but Adam pops that Valkyrie, and it's not going to be enough to keep Nene alive. He will be able to get the res, but take a look at Swan. He's all the way in the back line. Well,
it was that early pickoff. It doesn't matter who's healing you when you just take one to the head, as Rascal now deals with the other Widow threat. Goes up to high ground. NRG gonna split him across with the Dragon, and Stratus gets 2. As a result, Rascal picking up the scraps from the top. NRG in a big period of dominance here, and it's XL2. Now it's just a matter of can they even come out and delay? They're not going to be able to do it, and we're going to head into extra rounds.
And NRG will have a minute advantage at least. I believe it was around 2:30, 2:40 left on their clock. Well, as we see, there's only a minute and 31 for XL2. So very similar in the way both of these maps played out. Not much of a defense really during second, and then he was here on third where things did diverge a bit. XL2 got staunched and then came back to finish it off, but NRG had almost no resistance whatsoever moving through here.
XL2 looking pretty good, but NRG setting a very quick time there, beating what XL2 was doing at points. And so far, this is not really the tale that we were expecting coming in, where XL2 was very hyped up, especially internally within the community, and NRG has, with this new duo of Stratus and Rascal together, they've found a new life where I feel like Stratus is getting support this season that we never really saw him get last season, where there were times where it felt like Stratus had to be a one-man show. There were definitely games where Damon was very good on the Tracer, but Rascal is playing at a level that I think Stratus has never had with him before.
It's a lot to do with, I would, yeah, definitely agree, Rascal coming on in. Of course, he brings in a very deep hero pool and also just sheer raw talent, as we're already seeing now. So XL2, for their secondary offense, they're going to go for a double sniper composition once again. Mangachu on the Hanzo, Nene pick up the Widowmaker. Clone Man and Wu Yao, are they going to try and repeat that same kind of tactic where they just go ahead and put their bodies onto the point and try to force down Swan and Smex to contest them?
NRG going to hold back to begin with, as Stratus just laying in the bombs over the top. Clone Man, though, was able to get res back up. Both casualties on both ends back in the fight. Nene in the hotel being pretty aggressive on the Widow right now. Rascal goes back up, so the Widow v Widow still something that's happening. Is Mangachu just getting down and dirty at the point, picks up Swan immediately. Good support from Mangachu, and that's gonna let XL2 just slowly break this wide open in a much more convincing first attack this time when compared to the last.
And that's what happens once that Orisa has to drop onto the low ground. She is so vulnerable, even though she has, of course, that barrier right in front of her and a wall to her back. People are just able to bypass it and then just focus her down. And then from there, your main tank's gone. What do you do as NRG? So now XL2, as we move on to the street space, they have 20 seconds here. And they're going to have Mica very shortly. He's at 75% now, getting towards that Dragon Strike. And this is great geography for that.
Absolutely, and you look at XL2 with how they're set up right now, the key thing they have to avoid is Stratus coming in with the Riptire. We're at the final 10 seconds. The Riptire is NRG's ace in the hole here, where if they can get one or two people with the Riptire, it's not going to matter what Mangachu does with the Dragon Strike in all actuality. So now, you see the Riptire on the way. 5 seconds on it. Stratus taking the long way around and finds Mangachu, the one person who had an ult to potentially turn this the other way. Mangachu was really far out here, and now you're going to see NRG be more aggressive, right? It's overtime, but you're up a man. Start evicting people from the payload. The only person that can turn it back the other way is Nene, but with the Brigitte composition that NRG is running, it's pretty aggro. However, Nene gets one of the pickoffs he's looking for here. The Dragon comes in from Mangachu fresh out of spawn, and XL2 might be able to take this.
Transcendence comes on in as XL2 rally for this next fight. Rally was used on the opposite end from NRG, but will it be enough shield to try and keep them topped off? Rascal survives for now, but Mangachu is here with that Hanzo. Oh! Another tire comes out from Stratus, once again taking out Mangachu, who does get res back into this, but they are losing members left and right. Our XL2, Stratus cleaning up, and with that, they force him off. Just shortly after that choke point there, XL2 will be stopped.
XL2 not bringing it quite as far as they would like there. And a big part of that is Stratus, who was dealing all sorts of damage on the Junkrat. When you end up getting 2 tires in one fight, you can feel pretty good about where you are bringing the rat. And NRG, just for clarification here, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, more time to work with than what XL2 had. Well on their way to potentially opening up the series 2-0. Not the start that many expected from XL2, and certainly a strong testament to the upgrades of NRG.
Now, NRG on their offense here on point A did struggle quite a bit trying to figure out how to evict XL2 from the high ground here. Eventually they did figure it out. We'll see if 2 minutes and 36 seconds is enough time for them to really get this together, but they might actually change things up completely, as right now we see Swan on the Orisa and Smex on the Roadhog. So instead, I think they might try to just buy time for Rascal or Stratus to hide behind the barrier and try to get the shots off.
It'll be interesting to see how they decide to run the defense here. I mean, it's really 2.5 minutes. You'd like this to be a very, very long early defense, which part of it means that Nene and Mangachu are going to have to get early pickoffs here. You can't have it go the other end where Stratus gets someone early on. You're not going to be able to fight your way back from that. So a lot is on the double sniper defense here to find something early on.
Now, once again, both Shimano's out as Rascal turns his head to try and stop that headshot, but enough body shots are there from Mangachu along with Nene to finish him off. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to res that, and so they just have to wait for the reset.
And the reset, I mean, it buys time, right?
Ooh.
Where it's another 3 seconds, and Swan falls, set up by Cloneman, and now XL2's in a really good spot. They've bought themselves a full minute.
Is that Swan falls or a Swan dive coming out? The halt setting it up perfectly, and then of course the Orisa, just with her Gatling guns, just able to burst them down. Now, the resetting, and this is still a composition that's so odd to me, so Rascal has swapped off. That Genji I did not agree with whatsoever. They're going with a double sniper here. Halt comes in, but it's eaten up by Wuyal.
NRG looking for the early pickoff. Rascal not finding as much success this time here. XL2 playing corners really well as Mangachu gets another victim. Fozik's down. Not going to be able to res that one. Nene going to pile on right after. And even though Cloman has fallen, that should be able to be brought back up here, assuming that Adam can get there safely. You see that NRG is trying to cover that, but they're not able to do it for long enough. They even get Swan staggered as a result. And this is looking quite grim for NRG.
Yeah, this is the same issue, really, that they ran into. They just did not know how to attack point A. They went for a full dive, and now they're going for a more stationary answer to the defense coming up from XL2, but it has not come up to pay dirt quite yet. You still have to deal with this barrier. Nene is just playing on the low ground, while, of course, you got Mangachu just playing the lone wolf here.
Well, he drops the dragon and picks off 2 immediately. He had that set up, and that's all he needed. Now, even though he got picked off by Rascal, the problem is they can protect this. Adam's going to go there and bring him back up, and it's going to be NRG down to their final 44 seconds.
Might be the final push here, and they really haven't even been able to build up anything. I mean, Smacks on the Roadhog. Generally, you're used to a Roadhog being able to build up his ultimate quickly. It's been 2 minutes now. He's only at 86%. Of course, you have an Orisa. Supercharger takes forever. She didn't get that quite yet. Oh, Wuyal.
Immediately staggering NRG even more. NRG keeps trying to get something going, and it's one pick off or another. They're down to their final attempt.
Stratus able to just lunge away from that last halt, and now Swan has swapped off. So all that time spent on Orisa completely wasted, as now it's coming down to the final fight. He might actually just have to charge on in.
They're going to charge on it. They have to use the Transcends immediately, but XL2 can wait. They lose Nene immediately. That's going to cause Goliath to have to Transcend to cover the res. They want Nene back up in this fight. XL2 holds a little bit back. Supercharger there. Nene brought back up, but Swan moving in with Smex. The whole hog clears out space. And this is a brawl remaining on the fight, but they haven't dealt with Mangachu yet. The Dragon struck deep, and Mangachu continues his reign, and that's going to be it. XL2 takes map 2. They're all tied up 1-1.
Now, it's important to note this is 1.24, right? That is the patch which this stage of Contenders is on. And in this Hanzo, we saw it firsthand. Hanzo is incredibly powerful, very explosive with those storm arrows. And we saw Mangachu going from Pharah in the first map on Lijiang Tower, going now to Hanzo for King's Row. And this was just night and day. He looked so much more comfortable, very dominant. Mamachu, I know you're out there watching. Raise your boy right when he's playing that Hanzo, because he was just shredding NRG.
And just real quick, shout-outs to Mamachu, one of the most active moms of the community. Is actually heartwarming how much support she throws out there. But look, I mean, we saw this yesterday, right, where Corey started out on the first map pretty rough and then woke up over the course of the series. And Mangachu's a player that's in the same vein, right, where he can start out series on the slow end, but then suddenly start feeling better and play better and better as the series goes on. And his Hanzo, particularly towards the latter end of King's Row here, was very measured. He wasn't taking much in the way of risks, but was very much getting key pickoffs while staying alive.
That's kind of an interesting point there, Jamerson, as we're looking at, say, Mangachu versus Rascal. Rascal is pulling out a lot of the hero plays, right? He was kind of getting in when he needed to deliver. Mangachu really did feel like, as you were saying, ZP, it's very measured, right? He was always there. There was never a point where his performance was lacking.
I mean, on Lijiang, I don't think his performance was lacking at all. It was just that he didn't have the conversion on all of his shots. He was doing the damage, but as a Hanzo, it's much easier to convert when you're landing headshots.
You're also not just floating in the air there as everyone's playing hit scan, so very well played. Rascal, though, So I think it's worth noting on NRG's attack run the first time, right? Starts out with the Genji. Obviously, the Dragon Strike comes out, opens up the Dragon Blade after the Transcendence is exhausted. He gets multiple kills. Goes to point B, just gets a huge barrage there, and then switches to Widowmaker. So over the course of this attack run, he switches to 3 different heroes. On all 3 heroes, just cutting through XL2. So Rascal, again, at this point, I believe, checking notes, he's played 6 or 7 different heroes in 2 maps. Yeah, kind of crazy performance from him.
Yeah, the Mei, the McCree on Li Zhang, and then, of course, everything he went through, just the whole list there on King's Row. And that's one of the biggest strengths that he does add on, and also that he is one of those superstar DPS, which allows, like ZP had mentioned throughout this, for Stratus to not have to, carry as much of a burden. And then from there, we got to see what Stratus could do with the Hanzo himself, and he did have one hell of a map there. It just wasn't enough because Mangachu was just shutting down everything on that secondary defense.
It's just interesting to see the transformation as well. I mean, given what we saw last time for NRG, where they did look good at some independent tournaments in between contender seasons, but you think back to their last showing with the first element of poise there, right, where it just wasn't working at all. Now you bring in Rascal, and they seem to be stronger than they were even in their Damon days, but they are going up against a particularly tough XL2 team. I really don't know who's going to take the series right now, especially if Nanohana isn't going to be making an appearance today.
Yeah, we are very fortunate here to have that close of a series where it's that difficult to call. And we don't even have time to call out that beautiful Wuya Diva bomb at the end of self-destruct. Wuya, I saw it was a great bomb. But don't go anywhere, guys. We have more contenders coming up on this Tide series. Who's going to win? We will find out after the break.